Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Ekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Talachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Suklam Bharadharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannapadanam Dhyayet Sarvavighnopasanteye Yasyadvaradavaktradhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vigham Vighanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamasraye Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Aklishtakarine Namo Vedanta Vedhyaya Gurave Buddhisakshine Krishnadvaipaya Namvyasam Sarvabhuta Hiteratam Vedabcha Bhaskaram Vande Samadhi Nilayam Munim Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Now with Bhagavan's grace we will continue from where we left off. Yesterday we came up to Slokam number 6 in the first adhyayam of the third skandha. Now we will take up Slokam number 7. Sukha Muni is talking to Parikshit and through Parikshit to each one of us. So in Slokam 7, it says when Dhritarashtra did not care to prevent the most despicable act of his son Dusasana in dragging by the hair into the assembly Panchali, the queen of the Kurus, who was to him like his own daughter-in-law. Now Panchali shed copious tears flowing down, and this is probably Vidura may have left to the forest at that time, at that place, is what Sukha Muni is saying. Now, the verse corresponding to this in Mahabharatam, the slokam is Yada Sabhayam Kurudeva Devyaha Kesa Abhimarsam Sutakarma Garhyam Na Varayamasa Nrupaha Snushayaha Swasrehi Harantyaha Kucha Kunkumani Yada Sabhayam Kurudeva Devyaha Kesa Abhimarsam Sutakarma Garhyam Na Varayamasa Nrupaha Snushayaha Swasrehi Harantyaha Kucha Kunkumani. Now, this describes what is generally called as the Draupadi Vastra Apaharanam in Sanskrit. So this is what everybody, now I do want to share a couple of things about this. Now, before this, let me give you the word by word meaning of this slokam, and then we will go through what happened. Yada, when Sabhayam, in that Sabha, in that assembly, Kurudeva Devyaha. The Kurudeva Devyaha is the queen of the Kurus. It's actually Panchali, is actually Draupadi. We think the Kuru Vamsam is where the Pandavas also belong. Okay, they're not Kauravas, means they're sons of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, but they are not the only Kauravas. People belonging in the Kuru Vamsam. Pandavas also belong to that. And Panchali is that disputed queen of that. Kurudeva Devyaha Kesa Abhimarsam Sutakarma Garhyam. Sutakarma, by his son, the action done by his son. Sutta Karma, the action done by him. Garhyam, what type of action was that? Most despicable, abominable action done by his son. This is Dusasana. We know the story. What did he do? Here Sutta Karma, the son, refers to Nripaha. The next line is Nripaha means king. The king, this Dhritarashtra, continuing, his own son doing such abominable act, okay, but the act that he did was Kesa Abhimarsam. he held grabbed Draupadi by her hair. This is very important to understand. He dragged her by grabbing her by the hair into the assembly hall. That's what happened. Okay. At that time, this king Navarayamasa did not forbid that Garhyam Karma, that despicable, abominable act. He did not forbid. Navarayamasa. Sushayaha, his own daughter-in-law, Swasraihi, she was shedding profuse tears from her eyes. Just imagine, a lady, the most respected Draupadi, is such an exalted person of phenomenal, exemplary virtue. And to my knowledge, there is one temple for Draupadi in India, somewhere in the north. The Swasraihi Harantyaha Kuchakunkumani. Now here, it is loosely translated in a way that when you cry, it doesn't affect the kunkumam that you're wearing. What is happening is the coryllium that ladies wear around their eyes, what we call mai in Tamil, that's a black thing. And when the tears come down, naturally the coryllium also gets dissolved in it, and that was also coming. That was Kucha Kungumani, means Harantyaha, means it was washing away the coryllium in her eyes. And she was profusely shedding tears. And she was the daughter-in-law of this king, whose son was doing such an abominable act of grabbing her by the hair and bringing her into that assembly, to that sabha. At that time, the king did not forbid it, did not stop it, even though he was the king. That was the most adharmic thing to do. Maybe Vidura left at that time, is what Sukha is saying. Now, this is an important thing to understand exactly what happened. There are normally two stories in Bhagavatam, in the Leelas of Krishna, that are understood in the wrong way due to the narrowness of our mind, the narrowness of our interpretations, and the narrowness of the mind of the people who explain what happened. In Bhagavan's Leelas, in Leelas of Krishna, there is nothing that is vulgar or despicable or lovely. Everything is divine and divine, divine, sacred and sacred and sacred. We have to understand it that way. As Swami Dayananda very correctly said in one of his discourses, lectures, we cannot understand the scriptural teachings and Bhagavan's Leelas limited by our understanding. We cannot shape those messages according to our understanding. We must shape our understanding according to those messages and Leelas. So what exactly, the two things that people understand the wrong way, it is so sad, and because both are so divine, both incidences. One was the Draupadi, what happened in the Sabha hall. Okay, it's not a Vastra Apaharanam. That I'll tell you why it is not Vastra Apaharanam. And the second one is a Rasa Leela, and where Krishna was more like a 9-year-old, somewhere between 5 to 9-year-old boy, young boy, and the gopis were all in their 30s. And so what was happening there was something that is heart to heart, much, much beyond any physical thing that we always relate things to in our narrow mind way of looking at things, and that is further accentuated by all the paintings and pictures of we see in Rasa Leela, where Krishna and the Gopikas are all of the same height and they seem to be a similar age and all that. That's not correct. Krishna was nothing more than a few years old, very young child he was, somewhere between 5 and 9 years old, no more than 9, probably around 5, 6, 7 or whatever. It's a small boy. And so the picture is depicted properly. You will see it's a small boy with the people, with ladies who are in their mid-30s, okay, mid-30s to 40s. So that kind of when you look at it like that, there is no bodily connotations there. This is something to be very important to understand. Rasa Leela is one of the greatest things that happens. For any bhakta, Rasa Leela, the dance with Bhagavan, is something supreme and divine. It is. That is much, much beyond, nothing to do with the body at all. Okay? And then beyond that, it's heart-to-heart relationship. Now, coming back here, it's the Draupadi Vastra Apaharanam. Apaharanam means to remove, to cast away. Now, what exactly happened? The Draupadi's saris were not taken away. Draupadi's sari was not cast away, was not removed. We must understand this very clearly. So the word Apaharanam itself is wrong. Nothing was removed. What happened was, as explained by Vyasa to Parikshit, when Vyasa comes and spends some time with Parikshit before Sukha enters the scene in Bhagavatam. And Parikshit asks this question, how can be so despicable thing take place, And then he goes in several ways. Vyasa tells him, no, what you say, is it, then he tells him exactly what happened. It is not like the elders were all keeping quiet. And everybody was in absolute, put their heads down, it was shame. He explains how this was one of the greatest leelas of Bhagavan to convey an important point in bhakti or devotion, which is called faith. The same way in Ramayana, we have to understand why Sita was sent to the forest by Rama. We have to understand what Rama's message was. Same way what Krishna's message in this. That I will share with you over the next few minutes very briefly. What happened, it is such an important event. And so Vyasa is explaining now to Parikshit what happened in Bhagavatam, which is now outside this particular slogan, but related to it. The gambling contest. Now what happened? Yudhishthira, as Swami says, was a gullible person, an extremely gullible and innocent person. You and I know very well in this world, whatever we think is the way the world reflects and reacts to what. There is a saying in Tamil, for a thief looks at everyone else as thieves only. A crooked man thinks everybody thinks crooked, isn't it? And whereas an innocent person looks at everybody as being innocent only. He's not able to fathom the wickedness, the crookedness, and the warped thinking of people around him, because it's absolutely foreign to him. So he thinks everybody is innocent. Yudhishthira was exactly like that. He was a gullible, innocent, straightforward person, and soaked only in goodness. So he saw only good in everything, and he believed everybody, right? And his weakness was what? Weakness was not so much as gambling, but which comes in the next slokam. So I'm also taking it up and cover the story. But his attitude and approach was absolute obedience to elders, and he never thought even for a second that his own father, the uncle, his father's elder brother, who's actually the guardian and is supposed to take care of them, would go against their own interest, that would do something to cheat and deceive him. And he did not think that his cousins would go to this kind of a length to deceive and cheat them on a game of dice, because the invitation was sent by none other than Dhritarashtra himself. Please come and make merry. Let us all have good time together. So when the invitation comes like that from the elder in your family, Yudhishthira immediately trusted him, and he could not see the stratagem behind Sakuni's play and the various moves that were being played. Now he was also a person who had the follower of dharma. That means if you give a word, you must protect it, you must keep it. That is very important. But fortunately, in a very blessed manner, the underlying all this, even though he was gullible, okay, and even though he did not have the purva tapam, which means considering the various permutations and combinations, various possibilities of something that can happen as a result of something else that's happening, okay, and he did not do all those analysis and all that. Those are his weak points, in character weak points that some of us have. But underlying all that was Yudhishthira's unshakable faith in Krishna, in Bhagavan. He not only believed, that he knew 100% totality that everything happens according to Bhagavan's will. Not a single dot moves this way or that way. So that kind of a faith he had. So with that background, so when what happened here was the other thing we have to understand, hatred and jealousy, as I was telling you yesterday, the Swami said they are like cancer. They grow and grow and grow. They just don't die. They are carcinogenic. And they absolutely take the operation of your mind over to the exclusion of everything else. So this is like a raging fire that kept firing, that kept burning more and more and more forcefully in the minds of Duryodhana, and flamed further by the evil counsel of people like Shakuni and all that. And the hatred towards Pandava was such that they wanted to get him out of the kingdom. They tried to kill them. They didn't succeed. They tried to humiliate them in many ways. They didn't succeed. Plus, they also won Draupadi in the Swayamvaram. So many things that they were boiling against. So they wanted to kick them out of the kingdom, banish them basically from the kingdom through this game of dice, which was triggered and set up in a fundamental advantage to the Kauravas. Yudhishthira did not know that. So as the game went on and Yudhishthira lost everything, okay, and even gambled away his brothers and his wife and all that, that is when the evil mind started its design, okay, because foul brains can hatch only foul plans. Evil brains can hatch only evil plans, nothing more. This what they wanted to do at that time, they wanted to humiliate Mother Draupadi in front of the assembly. Everybody objected to that. Bhishma, Drona, Kripacharya, and Vidura. Vidura was also present. And everybody objected very strongly to that. But Dhritarashtra kept quiet. Interestingly, out of the 100 children, 100 boys of Andari, the 99 brothers of Duryodhana, one brother, the youngest one, Vikarna by his name, he objected to what was going to happen. But Duryodhana vetoed everybody, and Dhritarashtra was in absolute terror of Duryodhana, absolutely infatuated with just a puppet in his hand, which was his weakness, tremendous weakness, because he was blind to the infatuation with his son. So they plotted. Dusasana went and grabbed Draupadi by her hair and dragged her into the assembly hall, and their stratagem was to disrobe her, but the disrobing did not take place. I wanted to understand this very clearly, and then that is why the vastra apaharanam, the removal of the dress, of the cloth, is actually an incorrect and a wrong title for what happened. Yes, he did grab her by the hair and brought her in. There are 4 or 5 places in Bhagavatam where this incident is mentioned. Here, we just saw them in Slokam number 7, first Adhyayam, third Skandam. It also comes earlier in the first Skandam and all that. Everywhere it is mentioned only the hair. He grabbed the hair and brought her in. Nowhere else, nowhere you will find that the dress or the sari was actually removed. But the stratagem, the thinking of Dusasana and the Duryodhana and his brothers, except Vikarna, Shakuni and everybody else, was to disrobe Draupadi, okay? Was to cast away and remove her sari. Please understand. So the sari was not removed, but their intention was that. Now when Draupadi came in, what happened? Obviously, everybody, all the elders they could not lift their head and look at Draupadi coming in. They were all full of shame. Bhishma, just imagine, the greatest warrior, Bhishma is with his head down in utter shame. And of course, he could have gotten up and walked out. He didn't do that. Drona, same way, everybody had their heads bent down. They did not want to see. Such a shameful situation it was. Now, another reason that it's actually good that they didn't do that. They didn't look at Draupadi, because Draupadi, she came, her sparks were flying from her eyes, angry eyes. If those sparks, if she had looked at anybody, they would have been pulverized, immediately turned into ashes. That power Draupadi had. Fortunately, she did not look at anybody else other than her own, the great-grandfather, the eldest grandfather of Parikshit, is what Vyasa said. Your eldest grandfather, that is Yudhishthira. She was looking at Yudhishthira's face. And Yudhishthira's face was such a repository of tranquility, calmness, and peace. Not even the slightest agitation. Here is the king, lost everything. Now his wife is being brought in here in the most humiliating manner. Those days, a man cannot go and touch somebody else's wife's hair. That is absolutely wrong, adharmic. That's what happened. In spite of all this, even though he was a Kshatriya, he was not disturbed even in the least. Why? Because he had the full faith that Bhagavan is taking care and everything is happening according to Krishna's will. Now that faith, who else can have? You tell me. All his four brothers were all agitated. They were all wanting to get up and immediately fight and kill Dusasana right there. That's the blood boiling in them. But they all looked at Yudhishthira's face. That calm, peaceful face of Yudhishthira pacified and controlled everybody from taking an action. Now, Draupadi naturally pleaded to her husband, help me. But everybody was waiting for Yudhishthira's command, signal. But Yudhishthira was absolutely peaceful and calm, waiting, because this is a total surrender to Bhagavan's will, total faith. Then, when Draupadi prays to Krishna, and beautiful prayer it is, and then she also said, nothing can happen unless God wills it so. So how can anyone override the will of Bhagavan? No, that's the way she said, by will of Lord Krishna. And then she found that the husbands are no longer helping her. All the elders have become puppets, have become pussycats. What a beautiful situation it is when Bhagavan reveals his divinity as his care and protection and succor for his devotee. This is the thing, what happened there, I'll come to that in a minute. So beautiful. So she cries out, oh Shyam Sundar, she says. Then she says, this is not an insult dealt to me, she says. Nor is it an insult or infamy or an injury dealt to the Pandavas. No, no, no. Not to me, not to the Pandavas. There was no injury. It's an insult, injury done to you, she tells Krishna. It is done to you. Why? Because you are our all. We depend on you for everything. Then, if it is it just, is it fair that you should tolerate this cruel injury that's being perpetrated on our honor? She's asking. We have dedicated our lives to you. We were given everything to you. I've dedicated myself to you. But perhaps you are not content with that. Okay, with what we have offered to you at your feet so far. Let your will prevail. And then she surrendered totally. She calls him Dwarakavasi, you know. So, as Swami beautifully says, she addresses Dwarakavasi. And then finally, when she surrenders, she says Hridayavasi. And that time, unbelievable thing took place. What did Krishna do? The guardian of all the weaklings People like you and me, we are the forlorn. It's Anatha Nathaya Namaha, Dina Bandhavaya Namaha. You know, these are all Dinas, and Bhagavan is protecting us. So he came, and he's the one who saves everybody in distress. Apad Bandhavaya Namaha, Arti Haraya Namaha. We say, we worship him like that. He comes immediately. And then what did he do? He took upon himself the burden of rescuing Draupadi from her distress. And what did he do? He moved silently, unseen, and blessed her, unnoticed. Nobody could see, but he blessed her. And wonder of wonders, as Dusasana put his hand on the sari to remove it, the cloth kept on coming endlessly. So Dusasana was tired, exhausted, fell down on the ground, absolutely defeated. This, everyone was wonderstruck, amazed at this happening. The Kauravas were frightened, Dhritarashtra was frightened, terrified, because he was part of an adharma. Now he sees the power of divinity demonstrated there, the grace of Krishna and Draupadi's devotion. Both were not different. Draupadi's devotion is the same as Krishna's grace. They are two sides of the same coin. This is so the good people present there realize that Sathya and Dharma can never come to harm. The tears of joy that rolled from their eyes gave proof of the exaltation that they experienced. Bhishma and Drona and all that. Because Dusasana fell down and humiliated completely, and Draupadi did not suffer even the least dishonor. Even now, when we go through the story and relive those moments, what do we know? We think that only the evil, the cruelty of the Kauravas and the utter defeat they had. Draupadi came away unscathed. But more important, what happened? Here, why this happened, Bhagavan himself says, why did this incident, such a cruel, unimaginably cruel incident that took place, why did it happen? That happened with Bhagavan's will. What is the objective? He would never let Pandavas to suffer. Okay? The harms that the Kauravas planned to inflict on the Pandavas recoiled on themselves. This was a direct consequence of the grace of Lord Krishna. And Vyasa says, the grace that he conferred on your grandfathers and grandmother, and not only that, it was a direct demonstration of the devotion and the faith that they had towards Lord Krishna. All the incidences are demonstrating the faith and bhakti and love of Pandavas, utter total surrender of Pandavas to Lord Krishna, in spite of all the trials and tribulations that they underwent, the kind of trials and tribulations that most of us can't even imagine. That's how difficult they were. But in spite of that, they held on to Krishna's lotus feet. That is why they left as soon as Krishna left. Now, Bhagavan says the reason this took place is to declare to the world for times to come. Even today, when we go through this, we realize this. A message of intense devotion to the Pandavas and the efficacy of the devotion. Not only that, also to hold them up, to hold the Pandavas and Draupadi as the example of devotion for the Kali age that is to come, which is where we are living right now. This is a region Lord Krishna and Bhagavan contrived this thrilling drama and play. There is nothing more in this. There is absolutely nothing more in this than the purpose of the Lord. The thing took place because that's how Bhagavan Sankalpam, Lord's will was. So the message Vyasa conveys to Parikshit is that he says you may be subjected to calumny, insult, injury, dishonor in life. You may be plunged into poverty or pain. But when you surrender to Bhagavan's will, that faith that Yudhishthira had, that faith that but Draupadi demonstrated, then all these you welcome with equanimity. Equanimity is what Yudhishthira's face reflected. Then Vyasa continues, Bhagavan will never give up on his children. Another important message from this, those who are devoted to God have to be patient and calm under even the most poignant provocation, even the strongest provocation in life that takes place. We must still maintain our patience and calm. Be very patient, because Swami says patience is all the strength a man needs. That patience is very important, because another thing is that only the pious and the God-loving are those who are visited by travails and troubles. And why? In order to teach mankind the great truth about the efficacy of faith. That's why Krishna enacted this drama with the Pandavas and Draupadi as a cast. It's a drama that was played, and the players were Pandavas and Draupadi. So every incident in the life of your grandfathers and grandmother, Vyasa tells Parikshit, is nothing but a scene of his play, because they were devotees. So the example of devotion, that is why this particular drama took place. There is no vastra apaharanam, please, even though people use this in Sanskrit and all the discourses, the Pandits and all say that. It is not correct. Yes, there is, and in Mahabharata, in Bhagavatam itself, vastra apaharanam is not mentioned anywhere. It is actually, as we see in this particular slokam, is the kesa abhimarsam. Kesa means hair. Abhimarsam, grabbing it and pulling it with that. That's what he did. Okay, and the reason it took place, even today, what shines in this whole thing, or the cruelty of the wicked mind and the stratagem that it employs, the faith of the godly and the good people, the noble souls who are holding on to Bhagavan's feet. Okay, come what may. And the grace of Bhagavan, how he saves the dinas, the people who are forlorn and who have no other support, how he comes, his grace falls on them. All these things are manifested in this particular Leela of Bhagavan. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.